Hello, my name is Chef Baby, and today we are going to make the simplest jollof rice you see on the internet. If you ever thought that you can't cook jollof rice, this recipe is going to prove you wrong. First of all, I'm going to show you all the ingredients I'm using for the recipe. So we have our rice. You can use any brand of rice that you want. It's our mackerel. Mackerel is optional, but I always want mackerel in my jollof rice. Then we have our pepper, onion, ginger, and garlic. This is non-negotiable. This is what is going to give you the jollof that you want to eat, right? Then we have tomato paste here as well, and then we have our spices. You can use any spice of choice. I'm going to use a jollof spice and then a seasoning cube and then salt. We have our oil here as well. This is all you need to make your jollof rice.
We are going to start by washing our tomatoes, pepper, onions, and ginger thoroughly before we blend it. And as we do this, let me share a few things that as a beginner making jollof you need to keep in mind. One is a delicious tomato base or a delicious stew base is what is going to make a delicious jollof. Let me take that again. A delicious stew base is what is going to make a delicious jollof rice. So it's very, very important for you to pay attention to the stew. Make sure it has the right spices or seasoning. Make sure that it's well cooked and it has the right ingredients. And trust me, your jollof is like halfway done. And it's important to not use too much heat. So we're going to start by putting our oil in our pan, and then I love curry powder as a base for jollof rice. It adds a very nice aroma and taste to it. And then in goes my mackerel. As I mentioned, not everybody makes jollof with mackerel. Some people prefer smoked fish or smoked mackerel, but I really love the canned mackerel. It adds an amazing taste to it, and I've been doing this for a long time, so it's become a habit. Now our pepper mix goes in. Don't forget that pepper mix has tomatoes, pepper, onions, and ginger. Some people go as far as adding bell peppers and spring onions and all of that. It's amazing to add those things, but this is very beginner friendly, so I wanted to use very, very simple and basic ingredients so that everybody can get it. Now our tomato paste goes in. Also, with the tomato paste, it's really optional how much you decide to add to it. Some people like very red jollof rice, others like very light yellow jollof rice, so it's based on preference. But you can see that the stew is looking so good already. You can see that this stew is already like delicious. By just looking at it, you can tell that it's good. And that is what we are looking for, right? Next, we're going to add in our seasoning cube, just a bit of it. And then I also added some jollof seasoning. This is purely herbs to give it that herbs flavor, right? Now our stew is done. We're going to give it a good mix. With the jollof stew, you don't want to cook it too much because it's not going to be a standalone something. You also don't want to undercook it. So just somewhere in the middle. Now our rice goes in. So the rice is a bit of a conflict. Some people decide to wash your rice. Others decide not to wash your rice. Do what works for you. At the end of the day, the taste is what is important. And the rice that you use is also very, very important. I'm also adding water, but if you have any kind of stock or broth at home, like meat stock, chicken stock, it's great for jollof rice. So if you don't have that, you can use water. But you can see that I used just a little bit of water. I used less than 1 cup of water, and this was 1.5 cups of rice. Now our salt goes in, and basically the jollof rice is done. All we need to do is to cover it, be patient, and keep turning it. You also don't want to turn too much so that you don't break the rice. You want the rice to keep its whole grains, right? And that means you have to be patient and careful when you are turning it, right? And at some point, once you realize that there's no more water in it, you can cover it with a foil or a napkin so that it can retain the heat and cook faster. Because sometimes jollof can take a while to cook. So now I'm going to cover it. I covered it with a cloth at some point, a kitchen napkin at some point. And now jollof is ready, right? After about 15 minutes, the heat was low and all of that. Our jollof is ready. You can see it's looking really, really good already. And for mine, I served it with chicken. You can serve jollof with fish, with beef, with eggs, with salad. Jollof goes with so many things, so just use whatever you want. I hope you enjoy this recipe and I hope you're going to try it.